Hey, how's it going, everybody? Hey, GGG, how are you?
Hello, Dan. Hello, everybody. How's everybody? A new session with my good friend and the goat, Dan.
Whoa, the goat. That's cool. I don't know what I'm the greatest of, but that's still to be determined. So everybody's the greatest at something. Being yourself.
Yeah,
We're all goats. Yeah.
you're my goat.
Awesome. Sweet. Well, I'm super excited. We're back and we're back on X too. This time we're actually streaming out there. So we got that fixed up. So I see the audience already starting to tick up a little bit more than last time, which is awesome. Cool.
Awesome.
Hey, seeing some familiar faces. I see a lot of people like Ayush who is attending like every single one of these. I'm so excited. Whoa, look, another person saying it. That's cool. I'm just prompting AI to do stuff. That's all I'm doing, guys. Come on, you could do it
Oh,
too. This is
that
what I'm
makes
trying
you a goat.
to say. The
What
AI.
else do you need?
Uh, so yeah, I'm super excited today. It's not going to be a super long session unless you guys want it to be, and we'll take Q&A at the end. The main thing that I want to do today is set up the session for tomorrow. Tomorrow we connect all of the worlds, right? Tomorrow we basically take everything and we connect it all together. It's really going to be the big episode you don't want to miss. It's going to take everything that we've learned and really put it all together. So today I just really need to set that up with a little bit about talking about like cross domain and how we're going to be able to log users in with email and Gmail and why that's important. Not everybody, for your projects, maybe you don't want to do that necessarily, but I do think that if you're targeting like a mainstream user, the familiarity with browser wallets and having to go download one and fund gas and all that sort of thing may be a big step that's pretty frictionful. And we want to try to cut down on as much friction as we can. So that's really the name of the game today, is cutting down friction and carrying that inventory with us across all the worlds that we're going to. So that's what we're going to be taking a look at. Sweet.
Sound exciting. Let's go.
Awesome. All right. Any final words, GGG, before we live stream? What do you got to say?
No, as usual, just have fun. We are in an amazing era for developers or students of code and programming. Uh, just try to get fun because you have plenty of tools, of instructors, and content. So grab what you like the most, and you have no more excuses to avoid building. Start building. We need more apps around the world.
I love that message. This is all about having fun, right? Shapecraft is going to be a great time. We want to foster a collaborative environment for the hackathon. So if you're participating in that, have fun, reach out to us. We want to have fun with you. And we want to make things on chain being fun, right? I mean, I think there's a lot of stuff on chain that's really, really cool, that's really financial driven, but we want to start thinking also about like how to make it fun. And that's like a big part of what we're focused on here. So I love fun as a message. And with that, we'll go ahead and jump right in. So
Amazing.
let me share my screen and we'll jump to it. All right, cool. Like I said, today is going to be kind of a setup episode. It's going to be talking about some concepts, and I'm going to be drawing them out for you. Now, to get everyone excited, this is one of those like YouTuber like techniques where you show the end result at the beginning. And I kind of want to just show you guys what we're getting excited about today. So what I want to show you is I'm running this application over here, this example game that's just going to have one main scene over here. And we could play around with this game and we could change it. If you've been attending on Thursdays, then you're kind of familiar with this idea of phaser and you understand like how, phaser games are set up. You also know a lot about client server architecture and all of that stuff. So we have this game here and it's running on two ports, my local host 5173 and my localhost 5174 over here. So if I actually go out to localhost 5173 and I go out to localhost 5174, I can actually see this game in both places, right? So right here and right here, and we have two versions of the game. Now, what's really cool here is if GGG was deploying a game and I was deploying a game, we would put it on a different live website somewhere. And by the time we get to tomorrow's episode, I will make this available so you guys can jump into it on a live website. And you could also deploy it to yourself to a live website and check this out. Now, if me and GGG wanted to be able to give our users a really nice experience, what a really nice experience for logging in would look like would be something like logging in with email or Gmail, right? Like a pretty traditional Web2 experience. So if you want to jump into my game, you could continue with this thing called Nomad here. Now, Nomad in this instance is just a placeholder for some common domain that you want to use as your authentication layer. And this will be live in case you want to use it for your hackathon project. But whatever you want to use as your common domain, this is where you're going to log in. So that way all your users can share the same data across them if you're using AccountKit and this email, Gmail login flow. So if we continue with this service right here, what this is going to do is it's going to take me to a different domain here, and then it's going to ask me to sign in order to continue. So I'm connecting to an account, and this is the AccountKit UI. So if you're familiar with AccountKit, I did see somebody on the YouTube comments mentioning that they've seen all of the account abstraction videos. We've gone through account abstraction and AccountKit and all the technology that underlies this thing. So AccountKit, you can find it here at accountkit.alchemy.com. And what it allows you to do is it allows you to log in your users with email, Gmail, Discord, Twitter, what have you, all your social applications, passkey, email, anything that you want to. And you can kind of configure it however you'd like by coming out here to demo.alchemy.com. So you can like add a custom social OAuth, or you could continue with a wallet. Whatever sort of login efforts that you want to, or login options that you want to provide your user, you can configure them here. And if you want to change what the components look like, you can change the color here. You can make it blue. You can do whatever you want to do to kind of change it. You want to go dark mode, and you want to change like the illustration style, all that stuff you can do in here. And then we're going to see this experience when we go back over to our demo. But you could also check this out over here. If you go to AccountKit, you can log in with Google, and then it'll pop open here. And then I can log in with my Gmail account, and then you could like collect an NFT, right? And this is super simple, where I didn't have to like go download a browser wallet as a user, and I didn't have to go like fill it up with gas money in order to be able to just collect this NFT, right? I could just, if it's a free gas mint, if it's a free mint, then I can go ahead and just collect it, and then this op will eventually land. I believe it's on Ethereum Sepolia, so it's a little slow sometimes, but we'll give it just a minute, and then hopefully it'll come through. In the meantime, maybe I'll move back over. I was just giving you another second. We'll wait for that, and we'll come back over and see it. But you could trust me that this is lending the user operation as we speak. The advantage of being on an L2 is that it's going to move a little bit quicker in a moment. So, okay, cool. So back to our example, when we go to sign in, so we were on a different domain. We were on localhost. So it's saying localhost would like you to verify your identity by signing in with your account at this common domain. So we can go ahead and sign in. And then we could sign in with Google. We could sign in with our email. I'm going to sign in with Google because I already have set up this user here. But we'll sign in with a brand new email in a moment so we can give them some NFTs and play around with that. And if I verify with the signature, it's going to take me back to the game, and it's going to show me my inventory. Now, this is actually my inventory. This is actually downloading my NFTs and then rendering the metadata. So this metadata is actually the metadata for the item. And we could go see that if we go view this on the Explorer. Here's my account, my smart account that I control with my email account. And in here, you could see that I have 2 swords. And if we go look at these swords, we can actually see some of the metadata around them, right? It's actually going to show us the swords here. And if we click in, we could see like the title and description, I'm sure. Yeah, it's a legendary sword. It's got a description. The attributes is, rarity, legendary. So that's pretty cool, right? And so this is one game. If I was on a different domain, like if I was on GGG domain and I was going to deploy a different game, you could do the same thing where you can continue here with this common domain. You can continue here with Nomad, click in here, and then you could see I'm already logged into my Gmail because I logged in before, and we're back to the same site. So I can go ahead and verify with my signature. It's going to take me back to this game right here. And you'll notice they look the same, right? I mean, what'll be really cool with this hackathon is having a bunch of people that are creating novel games that are using these NFTs in different ways. And even though they look the same, right? These are two totally different games running two totally different instances of the game. And we're able to get these NFTs across them. So this is what we want to get to by the end of the episode, is just really getting back to this, but conceptually building up to understanding how all of this works. Cool. Did we have any questions there, GDG, or anything that I should highlight?
Not yet. Super interesting for now.
Sweet. So we could log out here, and then you could log back into your games. And then we'll take a look at this in a moment about logging in with a brand new account and then minting some NFTs to that particular account. And we'll check that out in a moment. For now, what I want to do is I want to come back to just the top level and just think about these components. So this may be a little unfamiliar for you guys if you're used to like signing into Web3 applications with a browser wallet extension. And I think browser wallet extensions are great. And I think that they are, especially for crypto native users, like probably many of us, this is a great experience. And if you are trying to log into like a DeFi app and then you want to be able to connect it to like a hardware wallet or something like that, right? That makes a ton of sense, right? To be able to do something like that. But in a game sense, where we want to like onboard like more mainstream users, you wouldn't want to necessarily have this experience where you have a browser wallet extension that's trying to log you into like a web application or a game somewhere. So we could call this like our web application, because what you're basically asking, if you are attracting new users, right? And that's what we all want to do at the end of the day, I think. I mean, there's maybe some applications out there that are just trying to get the people that are currently in crypto, that are using smart contracts, that are using, these on-chain applications, but that's a pretty niche audience, right? I think most of us, like when we're building web applications, we're really like targeting that mainstream audience. And if we can get that mainstream audience into our web application, what we're asking them to do with a browser wallet is we're basically asking them to start their experience by, one, go download something called a browser wallet, which seems a little sketchy to begin with, right? Like, it's like if you're not in the Web3 space and you come to a web application that you think is a game and you think it's something fun, and they tell you to go download like a browser wallet, that's going to be a bit of a jarring experience. And then, of course, you have to like secure a seed phrase, which is, at this point, coming into a game, this is not the right time to be having this sort of journey with your users where you want them to go write down like a bunch of secret words and tell them to store it somewhere that they're going to be able to keep it safe for generations to come, right? Like that's not really the right time to have that journey, because they're just trying to play your game. They don't really have anything valuable on your game yet. So I think for a lot of users, this is going to turn them off right here. But then, next it's going to ask you to like, next, actually, if you want them to do anything on your web application, you actually have to have them go get some gas money, right? And that's a whole journey of itself. Like if they don't already have cryptocurrency, they got to go like onboard, they got to go KYC through some sort of like, an exchange somewhere so that they can get gas to fund the wallet so that they can pay for a transaction. So that's a whole journey of itself. And then finally, when they come back to your web application, you're like, hey, can you connect your wallet to the game, right? And this
you need an extra step most of the time, that is add or create by your own the game network in case it is not listed on your wallet.
Yeah, that's true. If you're going to another chain, right? That's a weird experience too as a user, like having to go to chain list, right? Like if you guys are familiar with chain list, so if you don't already have all the chains in your wallet, you have to go out here, you have to add a new chain. Typically, there's actually a way through the Web3 provider to ask users if they want to add it. So like you can have a pop-up come up and then they could add it via those things right there. But like all of this, I agree with you. That's another extra step where it's like
a lot of friction.
Yeah, it's a lot of friction. And I think even this idea right here, number 4, even though this is like where we eventually get up to, that's like where we want to be. This right here is an odd step for a game, right? Like as a player, like I don't want my first experience to be with a game like connect my wallet. It's like that just feels like I'm just like opening up my, my money to you, right? As a game. And I'm like, I don't even know if I want to play yet. I don't know what this game is about, right? Maybe you could buy the game and that could be a thing, and maybe they show you trailers, they show you gameplay, and then you buy the game and you're like, oh, okay, I really want to play it and I know this is a complete game, so I'll buy it. But for a game that you're just trying out, you don't know how it works yet. You don't know if this is even like a good game to be playing. Connect your wallet is not a good first experience for these users. So even if they get through all these other steps, this is pretty rough, right? So what's cool about AccountKit is that we can take all of this and we can do something like this, where we're going to take the web application, and instead of having a browser wallet extension that kind of lives outside of it, we kind of have like AccountKit, which is code that you put inside of your web application, right? So this is a library that you could put inside of your application. So it kind of comes embedded into the application that gets sent down to the client. And the AccountKit comes in here. And what you do is baked into your application, we have some UI components, whatever you need to use here, or if you want to build your own UI and use some of the hooks to make that work, you can totally do that. And then you could log in. So let's grab a square over here to like some sort of a OAuth provider, Gmail, email sort of thing. So let's do like OAuth, social, email. You could log in here, and then this is going to come back afterwards, basically giving you an account. And then you are going to be logged into your web application with like 0xABC, right? So now in your web application, you're already logged in. You could start signing and making some transactions. The really nice thing here about AccountKit is there's a few different things, right? One, the user login is familiar, right? It's familiar because you're logging in through like email, Gmail. So that's like a really nice plus there. You get access to a smart account. And smart accounts are flexible. So that's a really important thing here. Smart accounts are super flexible. So smart accounts are a little bit different from what you get in a browser wallet. With a browser wallet, what you actually get is a bunch of private keys, right? So maybe you can also connect it to like a hardware wallet, so your private keys could be stored elsewhere. But typically, like when you have like a browser extension, you're just keeping your addresses inside there. You have all your private keys saved on your computer somewhere. So like it's a 32-byte code that if anyone gets access to it somehow, then they will, be able to do transactions as you. But the nice thing about smart accounts is that they're flexible. So you can programmatically add security. You can programmatically add new sort of features, like things like session keys, if you want to give an application the ability to do something for a limited period of time. And this might actually be a really nice thing to do for games, where you're saying, hey, you have access to move this item, but only for the next 60 minutes, right? And that might be a good experience that we want to like have users get familiar with. So smart accounts are super flexible. And then the nice thing here too is potentially your users won't have to pay for gas. If you configure a way to do that, your users won't have to pay for gas. Now, I don't think that this is necessarily the way that most applications will go. And for the hackathon, I think a lot of the games that will be built, at least the way that I'm picturing it and the way that some people have been talking about it, is that these games will be reading from the blockchain. Like these games right here, right? These games read from the blockchain where they rendered the sword. They weren't necessarily writing to the blockchain, in which case, like, you don't really have to worry about paying for your users' gas anyway. But if you were a application that was writing to the blockchain, then you can also abstract that away from your users. So maybe they don't have to pay for gas. Maybe they don't have to pay for gas the first time that they go to do something, or maybe they never have to pay for gas because maybe you charge them when they go to trade an item and you take a swap fee on something like that. So that could be possible here as well. There's quite a few benefits to the AccountKit as opposed to the browser extension, right? We kind of have like this this tough flow to go through as opposed to the AccountKit. Now, one downside here is that as opposed to the browser extension, which you can take everywhere and you have the same address in every web application. So if we were to do another web application over here, right? Let's just keep this over here. And we did something like this, and we had another web application. So these are like our web applications. It's getting kind of messy, huh? These are our two web applications. You're going to have the same access to the same accounts in both of these web applications from this browser wallet, right? Because that's the browser wallet is sitting kind of separately, as opposed to the account kit. Here, you're actually going to end up with a different address based on your application. So like if me and GDG both deployed a different web application, as a user, even if you log in with like the same email, you're going to end up with a different address that you control. So if we were to do something like this, and we were to log in over here on a different web application, then we would end up controlling a different address as a user, which wouldn't be great, especially for what we've been talking about, which is being able to take your inventory wherever you go. But of course, I just showed you guys a demo where we were able to keep the inventory the same and keep the address the same, right? This address right over here, we were able to keep it the same across two different domains. So how do we do that, right? We introduced this idea of having like a common auth domain, right, in between. That is going to be the place where you're actually doing the login, right? So we have this. And this is going to be like, so in this example, this was called Nomad, right? Which is going to be like our common auth domain. And then inside of here, what you can do is you can say, I am going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and log in, right? So we'll both log in. So we'll log in over here. So this is going to be the login. And then this is also going to be like login via redirect, right? So we're like going over to Nomad, but then asking it to redirect back to us when it's done. And then so this login is going to happen. And then this is going to come back over here with one address, right? And account kit is actually going to get moved over into this application over here, not necessarily into your web application. So you don't necessarily need it there. You could if you're going to do any kind of account abstraction stuff. But here we keep it in Nomad if we are just trying to prove to these addresses, to these web applications here, that we own this address. So what actually needs to happen next is we have these, and then we can prove over to our web application. So we have a login via redirect. We could prove over to our web application that we own this address. So there's this like sort of proving via a challenge that we have access to this account. So you actually have to sign something. That's that that UI that you saw maybe towards the end there. So let's just move this to down here, login via redirect. And then these are going to be where you actually prove it back to these web applications. So the web applications can end up with the same address over here, and you can load the same NFTs across these applications, right? So this is what it ends up looking like. And then at the end of the day here, your users end up with, yes, there's like a bit of a redirect, although this is pretty, familiar flow for somebody who's done like OAuth before. So there is like a redirect here, but your users end up with like this familiar experience of being able to log in with like an email or Gmail or Facebook, something like that. And then being able to get access to the same account no matter where they go, so that if they have NFTs with them, they can just pull them into this game or this game or this game. And that's kind of the key thing that we're trying to get to here, with all the benefits that we get from having a smart account and having this like flexibility and this familiar user experience.
Sweet, super interesting.
Awesome.
So, quick question just to make sure that we fully understand. That Nomad proxy relay gateway is something that you build, is something that we can build.
Yeah, exactly. So this is actually something I put open source. So I'd love to see folks either use it or modify it for your use case. Whatever you'd like to do. It's out here, Dan Nolan / Nomad Multiverse. So this actually has like all the account kit stuff baked into it. I'll do a little bit more documentation on this so that you guys will be able to play around with it. You could check it out here if you go to nomadmultiverse.com and kind of play around with it, you could also mint yourself a sword. So you saw a moment ago, right, that I had 2 swords over here, and I have access to this account right here, 3F3C. That's because I'm like still logged in on this website here. If I go to press mint, and hopefully this go through a little bit quicker than the other demo. We should see the user op come through. There it is. Okay. My alert is a very basic alert. I didn't get that far to really good user experience just yet, but there it is. So when we come back over to this game, if we refresh, then you'll see that I have 3 swords, right? So I just minted myself another one, and this should be true for both games, right? So if I log in over here and I verify with signature, come back, I'll end up having 3 swords over here as well, right? And we can actually see that on chain. This is on Shapes of Polia. So if we come over here, you can find those 3 swords in your inventory that you can kind of take with you everywhere. So definitely you can use this site if you'd like as your like common domain. And I'll also make these games available so that you can embed a phaser game inside of this flow. There are a couple pieces that need to be in here for the challenge verification to work properly. But once you have that, then you could build in whatever game you want, loading in the NFTs that you need and being able to like build the experience that you would like for your users. So definitely check this one out, or feel free to use this site as like the common domain to log your users in. I'm going to keep it on Shapes of Polia though, at least for the time being. So if you're trying to go to mainnet, I guess you could probably log in on mainnet with this as well. I think that might still work, but right now
Let's
it's
try.
pointing at Sepolia. Yeah, might be kind of difficult because we'd have to. Well, really, we just need
No,
to
no. I
change.
mean, let's try later. Not now.
Yeah, we really just need to change the game to point at. So this actually isn't too bad. So just like to, I mean, since you brought it up, right? Like if we wanted to change this, this is the game right here. All we would need to really do is change our .env to point at, instead of Shapes of Polia, point at shape. And then this will actually go and load the NFTs from there instead. So that's really all we'd have to do. But the actual auth shouldn't change. You'll still get access to a smart account via that way. So that, yeah, definitely try on your own, check it out. But yeah.
So last thing, you just need to remember which login method you use for the account kit frontend or Nomad frontend or whatever. So if you use your email account, you need to use always that email account. If you use a different method, it will be a new account.
That's a really good point. And that's true across all Web2 experiences, right? And oftentimes I find myself like going to like Airbnb and being like, how did I log in, with this? Did I log in with Gmail, or did I log in with email? Did I log in with, whatever options they offer you? And that's probably an advantage too, to keeping your number of options down for your user. If you are working on like a login experience, to only give them a few options. So that way they're not like, oh my goodness, how did I log in? Was it a passkey? Was it email? So yeah.
Sweet.
Cool. Okay, so let's go ahead and make this a little bit more fun. So now that we have this kind of fleshed out here, let's add something to our inventory that's not here, right? Just to show you guys that you could put whatever NFTs you want to put in here, and then maybe we could like change the game so that we could actually start playing around with the game with the NFT inside of it. And then tomorrow, what we'll do is we'll take this whole concept and we'll bake it into the game that we've been building every Thursday up till now. So we'll kind of cross these things over. And then if you guys want to build a game, for the hackathon and use the same thing, then we could have crossover between my experience and your experience, and actually see these NFTs kind of move between these different worlds, which would be super cool. Cool. So let's go ahead and do that then. So what I'm going to do is, in order to just start this over from scratch, I'm going to log in to one of these games with a temporary email. So let's go to temp mail. This is a service that you can use to just go grab yourself like a temporary email address, which is kind of nice. So we'll just wait for that to load real quick. All right, cool. I think I've done that one before, so let's start over with a new one. I think that reloaded the last one that I had. It looked familiar to me. I played with that last time. All right, cool. So we'll use this one here. And if we log in with this one, what's going to happen is, so let me sign out over here. I'm not going to use Dan Nolan 99 anymore. I'm going to use this one, and we'll go ahead and log in. It's going to send me an email. So hopefully that'll take just a second. And then when it comes through, we're going to be able to verify with this new account. Okay, cool. So you could style this email. I didn't really bother doing that this here, but you can do this out on the Alchemy dashboard and style it, put an image, change what you want it to say, and then we could sign back in here, connecting that to our account. And then see, here's the email that I just got, the temp email, and we're signed in. And this is a brand new smart account over here that we now control with that email. So if I come up over here, you can see there's nothing over here. Now, it's interesting to note that Shapes of Polia labels us as an EOA, an externally owned account. However, this is actually not an EOA. It doesn't know yet, but we can actually control this with smart contract code. We just know deterministically that this is where we could deploy code should we decide to deploy it. So even though this says EOA, it's important to know that this is actually a smart contract address. We just haven't deployed the code there yet. This is often called like a counterfactual smart contract address. So it is a smart account. It's just a little thing to note there. So it's a smart account that we control, and we can come back over here and verify. This is going to bring us back to the game, and it's got, see, the same address over here. Now I have nothing in my inventory. So maybe one thing I want to do is first just go ahead and mint myself a sword to give myself a sword, but then we'll also get something new in here. So let me go ahead and mint myself a sword. This right here is using the account kit, so that's why you can see that this is a gas-free mint. That's why I don't have to actually load up this account with anything. I can just go ahead and mint it. And actually, when I mint it, it should deploy the code here as well. So yeah, you'll see now this is actually not considered an EOA anymore. It calls it a proxy, which it is a proxy to the smart account itself. So you can actually see I have a sword here, and now this is actually a smart account. We don't actually deploy the smart accounts until you actually go to make a transaction. That's an optimization to make sure that we're not wasting gas, right? If you never intend to send a transaction with a smart account, you don't want to waste gas by deploying it, right? So that's like the idea there for the counterfactual. Cool. So we minted ourselves a sword. So if we actually come back over here, we can actually see this sword pop in here. What would be really cool for a lot of people in their games is to use like webhooks, so that instead of or WebSockets, so instead of having a refresh to see your items come back in, actually being able to keep track of the events in real time and being able to move the sword right into your inventory or take it out of the inventory, however you want to like control that experience within your game. That would be really sweet to see people do that as well. But here we just have it refreshing. So what I want to do next is I want to just add a new item into this inventory. And so what I thought would be kind of fun is Tabo, from the last stream, decided that maybe the Dan sprite that he created should have a beard, which I just thought was hilarious. So I think that would be great if we just made this our thing in our inventory, and then we'll put the bearded Dan guy into our inventory here. So let's go ahead and save it. Oh, look, he named it Nan. All right, so there's Nan. We're going to go ahead and put Nan on the desktop. He does look a little more grown up now, Tabo. I think that's totally true. And now we want to get Nan into our inventory, right? And so what we're going to do is we are going to bring up another repository I have over here. And so if you guys watched the smart contracts episode, should have been the second episode on Wednesdays, then you are familiar with us like deploying an NFT. You'll be familiar with a lot of this. The only thing I changed over here is actually putting in an IPFS link here. So that way we could actually reference some metadata. So that way we actually have like something that we could pull up, like an image, and we could pull up like the title and description and all of that. So what I want to do here is I'm going to call this Nandolin, and then we'll do NAN, and we'll put that in there. We got to change this token URI. So I really like using Pinata for this. So let's go ahead out to Pinata, and we got to add ourselves. We got to add two things, right? We got to add the image on IPFS. So here's the image of the sword, but then we also need to add metadata. So if you guys are familiar with this concept for NFTs, NFTs actually reference like a metadata that's typically in IPFS. So this is where you'll see it here. And so in here, there's a standard for the metadata that a lot of like NFT marketplaces will read, and we should probably adhere to that for games as well, having this name and description. And then also you could program in attributes here so that people can kind of read this and have like the common thing across all of these different marketplaces and games and what have you. Cool. So what we want to do is we want to add metadata like this, but for Nan Dolan. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add that file over here to Pinata. So I'm going to come out to my desktop and I'm going to find Nan. There he is. That's a sweet beard. Awesome. All right, cool. So it should be up there now. There he is. All right. It looks so stoic. Yeah, it's great.
Why
Cool.
do you look always angry?
Why does he look so angry, Tabo? We're just having fun here. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and pull over the metadata. And we're going to, I'm just going to bring this over in here so that way we can change it. So we'll call this Nan Dolan, a powerful beard growing on the face of a man. Sure. You guys could come up with some better items here, I'm sure. What trait types? Does anyone want to throw out some trait types? What do we got here? We got a trait type.
Age.
Does that 25? Okay, wow. AI says I'm 25. I don't think that's right, but I'll take it.
IQ.
I'm not Nan Dolan. You know, I'm gender male. That's a pretty good one. AI is just taking all the. It's coming up with traits here. Does anyone have another one? What else we got? Hair color brown. All right, cool. Yeah, those are pretty good traits. I'm good with that. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this. I'm also going to save this to desktop and just call this Nan metadata. And we're going to go upload that to, one more thing is we need this, this IPFS link to actually link to the image over here. So let's go back over here and grab this. We're going to copy this over and that's going to link there. And now we can actually go back here and upload our Nan metadata, right? So there we go. Awesome. That should be everything. And then this CID is actually the one that we want to copy into our smart contract, right? So that's actually going to reference the metadata for this particular guy. So once we deploy this thing, it's going to live on Shapes of Polia, and it's going to be able to reference the metadata everywhere. And that's actually what the game's going to use to load it in, so we could have it in the inventory, and then maybe we could like have it run around the screen or do something like that, right? Sweet. So let's go ahead and deploy this. I already have this set up with my hard hat config with a private key that has some testnet ETH inside of it. So I can run this on Shapes of Polia over here. You can grab your API key and stuff all on Alchemy. And we will go ahead and let's deploy it. I think that's it. So I'm going to say npx hard hat ignition deploy sword NFT. I'm still calling it sword NFT, but that's okay. Because we've changed the things, we've changed the metadata. So let's do that. And then once we have a new contract address, we will mint it. So, okay. So we've deployed, reconciliation failed. Module changes. Consider modifying your module. Okay. I actually don't know what that means, but let's go ahead and just delete our old deployment because maybe it's just upset because things changed there. Let's go ahead and deploy it. I guess because if you're deploying to the same chain, it's going to try to reuse the modules that you've already run. And it noticed that they were different. So I guess that's the behavior. Hard hat ignition is still kind of new to me. It's really cool, but I'm still learning how it all works. So awesome. It looks like it's now doing that. So we'll have a new sword NFT, which is really the Nan Dolan character. And we got to mint it. So I think right now I'm minting it to some random address, which is not going to be helpful. But maybe we could just add this to, let's just go ahead and mint this to our character. So here's the contract address. And then we're going to mint this over to this address right over here, right? So let's copy that address. Let's view it on Explorer. We're going to copy it over here as the recipient. And then we're going to go ahead and mint this to them. And then make sure that the token ID is there. So let's go ahead and npx hardhat run scripts /mint.ts. That's going to automatically work on shape because that's where I have the default network set. So we'll mint ourselves the Nandolan here. Okay, cool. Looks like it went through. So I think now this is the magic moment. Nandolan might actually be in the inventory. I'm kind of nervous. Come on. Yeah. Look at that. Wow. We got a powerful beard growing on the face of a man. There it is. Good job, Tabo. That's a great sprite. I love it. All right, cool. So now we can carry this inventory wherever we go, right? If we went to localhost 5174, and you guys could actually come up with like new functionality for this, right? So if we were to go to a different site and we were to log in, I mean, you can already kind of guess what's going to happen. I have the same email. We log in and we're going to have that same inventory across these two games, right? We have Nandolan and Legendary Sword. So you can kind of create your own custom gameplay based on like what they have inside of their NFT. So, or what they have inside of their inventory. So what would be really cool here, I guess, for our game is we have that character unlock, right? So I know that Talon Dragon just actually did a new sprite that's female, which would be great to get in there as well. We could do character unlocks where we have another player that if you have it in your inventory, you have it as something that you own, you can go ahead and unlock that character as well. Maybe it has a new move set. Maybe it has like a whole bunch of other things, right? So yeah, we could start to see stuff like that. There's one more piece that we have to connect tomorrow, which is that idea of having worlds. Because right now I'm just reading purely out of your actual smart account, like what you own, right? So there's one more thing that we need to connect tomorrow, which is putting these items into a world. And the whole reason we need that world is so that we have an incentive as a game to actually implement these items, right? Because when you're building the game, you need to figure out what Nandolan does in your game. You need to figure out the gameplay for it. So players will move Nandolan into your world so that you have an incentive via the gas back to go ahead and like implement them and render them and do something fun with those characters. And so people will start to bring all types of different items and characters into your world. Cool.
Awesome. What can we do with a Nandolan in our game? Bring your Nandolan to enter the party, something like this, like a keyword, a password.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, you know, we have some time here, so maybe we could just like, you know, this is kind of combining these two streams, right? The Wednesdays and Thursdays. On Thursdays we make games, and on Wednesdays we've been doing Web3, but we're really starting to like put these two together. So like this is a game, right? So if we came back over to our game example here, we can go to the main scene and we could ask, you know, ChatGPT, you know, or Claude, which is what I've been using lately. We could ask it to, when we select the character, just run around the screen with it, right? So can you create, can you make it so that when we press enter over the particular item in the inventory, we can run around the screen controlling that item with the arrow keys, right? So something like that. So I don't know if it would want to create another scene. Okay, it's going to keep this all in the main scene here, but it might make sense, you know, to have an inventory scene and then having a playing scene. So you can see there's like kind of a game state here, which is kind of awkward. This would be a good opportunity to introduce multiple scenes, but we'll keep it simple here, right? Because, you know, might as well. So this is going to do a whole bunch of stuff, and hopefully it got the idea. So you can see that there's kind of two states. There's this active player, which it's choosing to like use this image, which represents the active player. So we could play as the sword or we could play as Nandolan, setting the player speed. And then it's doing all that logic that's pretty similar to what we were doing in the game stream, which is like handling, oh, look at that. So it actually is keeping track of whether we're in inventory mode or playing mode. And then it like has different controls for each. yeah, that's really awkward. I think you want to like create 2 scenes for this, but it handled it very well. And you could see that we have the playing controls, and then we have like this start playing, and it has like world bounds and stuff like that. It looks like some of this is not going to work. So we'll ask it to like maybe fix this stuff. Because we got to make it like an active sprite instead of an image. All right, let's try that. And then we'll see if that actually fixes it as well. Okay, and then this one we ran into before. If somebody doesn't have a keyboard, this is going to be falsy. So we can just kind of like, if they have a keyboard, then go ahead and run that. And then, yeah, it looks like everything's working there. So if we come back over here, oh no, didn't work. Let's see if we, maybe there was was it enter that's going to let me, how do I select? Did we see that? So inventory controls, oh, spacebar is 2, okay. Oh yeah, look at that. Okay, and it even gave me an escape if you noticed, and I could run around as the sword. Okay.
Awesome.
That's not really much of a game, but you could do whatever you want from here, right? And you could start to equip Nandolan maybe with the sword. I mean, you'd have to draw the art for that, but yeah, you guys can kind of see the potential there once you have this, and we could have like different functionality across all the games. So yeah,
amazing. We have a really good question from TD Talon Dragon on the screen that she's asking: could any particular item have different skills in different games, even if the same NFT? For sure, you as a game owner can retrieve the attribute of that NFT and do whatever you want with that attribute. But also, you can create your own behavior. Let's say, if this user has this collection / token ID, then they will have this superpower, non-Dolan superpower that can fly. I don't know. Or they can enter some private areas on the game. You can create on top of the NFT attributes, or you can reuse that. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah, 100%. That's exactly what I would have said as well. I think it would be really cool. I mean, part of the reason why there's that fee to import and export to the different worlds, right, that the users have to pay via gas. Part of the reason why that goes to the game creators is you have to figure out how to implement these items into your game. You have to figure out how they make sense in your world. So you could imagine a bunch of different genres of games that all have different ways of like rendering the items. Like if it's a sword in an FPS, I don't know, like maybe now you could go around slashing people. I don't know, something cool like that. So yeah, nice. I love it. Yeah, one punch man. That'd be super cool. Yeah, sweet. Yeah, okay. So since if there's any other questions, feel free to ask them in the chat. I do have a bit of alpha to share for you guys, which will be going into Shapecraft. I'm super excited about it. There is going to be a special item that you can earn if you are a registrant on Alchemy University for the Shapecraft world, and you're going to earn that on main chain by playing a game. If you beat that game, then you earn that item, and it's going to be really cool. You're going to want to get it.
So do it again. What do we do? From Alchemy University side, we need to register, and then
that's it. Yeah. And once you're registered, you're in, and then we'll be releasing during the hackathon how you can play the game to beat the game, and then you'll earn an item. And that item is something that we're going to make available on the testnet so that you guys can incorporate that into your games. And ideally, that's an item that we'll see has use across many worlds, right? That would be something that would be super cool, right? I think that's been kind of the thing that we've wanted to see since the very beginning with NFTs, is an item that you could then go to a different game and a different game and a different game and actually being able to use it there. And this is, it's an item that's going to be really awesome. You guys are just going to be super excited. I can't
super alpha.
Super alpha for sure.
Amazing. Love it.
Cool.
You guys, I think we're fine. We have no more questions on the chat, so it's time to wrap up.
Awesome. Cool. Well, let everyone you know about the item that you have to register for Shapecraft for. And we'll be releasing a little bit more about that pretty soon. And look forward to seeing you guys back here tomorrow when we're going to be incorporating this entire idea into the game that we've been building on Thursdays, so that maybe we can have unlockable characters and we can actually start to see how we put these into the different world smart contracts. So see you all tomorrow.
Awesome. See you tomorrow. Bye bye.